The first time Amélie Dubois saw the notification on her phone, she almost ignored it. It was 3 in the morning in Paris, and she had just finished a double shift at the hospital where she worked as a nurse. Her feet ached, her scrubs smelled like antiseptic, and all she wanted was to collapse into bed, but something made her look. A message request on Instagram from someone named Rohan Sharma. The profile picture showed a man with kind eyes and a hesitant smile, standing in front of what looked like an Indian temple. She was about to delete it when she saw his message. I saw your comment on the Doctors Without Borders post. You said you dreamed of working in underserved communities. I work with an NGO in Mumbai that provides healthcare to slum areas. If you ever want to know what it is really like, I would be happy to share. Amélie had indeed commented on that post. It was late at night, one of those vulnerable moments when exhaustion made her honest. She had written about feeling disconnected from her work, about wanting to do something that mattered beyond the sterile walls of a Parisian private hospital, where rich patients complained about wait times. She stared at Rohan's message for a long moment. Then, against her better judgment, she replied, I would like that very much. That simple exchange would become the beginning of the most complicated year of her life. A year that would take her from the elegant streets of Paris to the chaotic heart of Mumbai. A year that would teach her that love, no matter how strong, cannot always bridge the gap between two worlds. A year that would force her to choose between who she was and who someone else needed her to be. This is the story of how Amélie Dubois learned that some traditions are not meant to be broken, and some loves are not meant to be. Amélie was 32 years old, unmarried, and according to her mother, dangerously close to becoming a spinster. In France, this was not particularly scandalous. Many of her friends were also single, focused on careers, enjoying their independence. But Amélie's mother was traditional, Catholic, and deeply concerned about her daughter's biological clock. You are wasting your best years, her mother would say over Sunday dinners. You are beautiful, intelligent, successful. Why can you not find a nice man and settle down? Because I do not want to settle, Amélie would respond. I want something real. She had dated, of course, a medical student during her training, a lawyer she met at a friend's wedding, an artist who lived in Montmartre and wrote her poetry. But none of them had felt right. They were all fine men, but fine was not enough. Amélie wanted passion. She wanted purpose. She wanted someone who understood her restlessness, her need for something more than comfort and routine. Rohan's messages became that something more. They talked every day. Long messages at first, then voice notes, then video calls. Rohan worked for a non-profit organization that provided medical services to Mumbai's poorest neighborhoods. He was a social worker, not a doctor, but his passion for the work was evident in every word he spoke. He told her about the families he worked with. Children with treatable diseases who could not afford medicine. Women who gave birth in unsanitary conditions because hospitals were too expensive. Elderly people who suffered in silence because healthcare was a luxury they could not imagine. Amélie found herself staying up late into the night listening to him talk. His English was excellent, colored with the unique cadence of Indian speech. He made her laugh with stories about navigating Mumbai's infamous traffic. He made her think with questions about inequality and social justice. He made her feel, for the first time in years, like her life had been missing something essential. It took 2 months before Rohan mentioned his family. They were on a video call. Amélie could see him sitting on what looked like a balcony, the sounds of the city loud in the background. He seemed nervous, smoking a cigarette, which was unusual for him. I need to tell you something, he said. Amélie's heart sank. Here it comes, she thought. The revelation that would ruin everything. He is married. He has children. He is not who he says he is. I am from a very traditional family, Rohan said. Brahmin caste. My parents expect me to have an arranged marriage. They have been pressuring me for years. Amélie did not understand. What does that mean for us? It means that what we have, this thing between us, my family would never accept it. You are foreign. You are not Hindu. You eat meat. You drink alcohol. You are independent in ways that would be seen as inappropriate in my culture. So what are you saying, that we should stop talking? No. He looked directly at the camera, his expression intense. I am saying that if we continue this, if we take it further, it will be difficult. My family will resist. There will be expectations, pressures, judgments. I need you to understand what you would be getting into. Amélie should have been scared. She should have ended it right there. But instead she felt a rush of defiance. I am not afraid of difficult, she said. Are you? He smiled then, the kind of smile that made her heart skip. No, I am not afraid. 3 months later, Amélie booked a flight to Mumbai. She told her mother she was taking a vacation, exploring India, nothing serious. Her mother was suspicious but did not push. Amélie's father, more pragmatic, simply said, "Be careful." The flight was interminable. 13 hours of anticipation and anxiety. What if the chemistry was not there in person? What if she had built up something in her head that did not match reality? What if Rohan's family was even more traditional than he had described? Mumbai hit her like a physical force. The heat, the humidity, the crowds. The airport was chaos. People everywhere, families reuniting, taxi drivers shouting, the smell of spices and sweat and exhaust mixing in the thick air. Rohan was waiting for her in the arrivals area, holding a small bouquet of jasmine flowers. He looked different in person. Smaller, more nervous, but also more real. When their eyes met, Amélie felt relief wash over her. The connection was still there. You came, he said softly. I came. He reached for her hand, then stopped himself, glancing around at the crowds. Public displays of affection are not really acceptable here, he explained, especially between unmarried people. It was the first of many adjustments Amélie would have to make. Rohan had arranged for her to stay at a small guest house in Bandra, a relatively upscale neighborhood. He could not stay with her, of course. That would be scandalous. Instead, he came to visit her every day after work, and they explored the city together. Mumbai was overwhelming. The wealth inequality was shocking. Gleaming high-rise buildings stood next to sprawling slums. Luxury cars shared the roads with hand-pulled carts. Amélie saw more poverty in her first week than she had seen in her entire life in France. But she also saw beauty. The architecture, the food, the colors, the warmth of people despite their struggles, the resilience, the way life continued vibrant and chaotic, regardless of hardship. Rohan was her guide through it all. He showed her his Mumbai, the street food stalls where he ate lunch, the temples where his grandmother prayed, the neighborhoods where his organization worked. He introduced her to colleagues, to friends, to the families they helped. Everyone was kind to her, but Amélie could feel the curiosity, the judgment. She was foreign, white, dressed in ways that stood out. People stared, men especially. Rohan explained it was not meant to be rude, just curiosity. White women were still somewhat exotic in many parts of Mumbai. On her 5th day, Rohan took her to meet his family. He had been dreading it, she could tell. He had warned her repeatedly. They will be polite but reserved. They will judge you. They will ask inappropriate questions. Please just be patient. The Sharma family lived in a joint family home in Andheri East, a middle-class neighborhood. 3 generations under one roof. Rohan's grandparents, his younger brother and sister, and his aunt and uncle with their children. 14 people in a 4-bedroom apartment. The home was modest but clean. The walls were covered with images of Hindu deities. The smell of incense and cooking filled the air. Amélie had dressed conservatively, wearing a long skirt and a loose tunic, covering her shoulders and chest. Rohan had told her this was important. His mother, Lakshmi Sharma, greeted them at the door. She was a small woman, her hair streaked with gray, wearing a traditional sari. Her smile was polite but did not reach her eyes. "Welcome," she said in accented English. "Please come in." The family gathered in the living room. Amélie was given the seat of honor, everyone else sitting around her in a semicircle. She felt like she was on trial, Rohan's father, Vijay Sharma, was a retired bank manager. He spoke better English than his wife, his questions direct and probing. What did Amélie do for work? Why was she not married at 32? What were her intentions with their son? Amélie answered as honestly as she could. She was a nurse. She had focused on her career. She cared deeply for Rohan and wanted to see where their relationship could go. Mr. Sharma's expression remained neutral. In our culture, he said, we do not believe in this dating. When two people are serious, they marry. Are you serious about my son? Amélie glanced at Rohan, who looked deeply uncomfortable. I believe we are getting to know each other to see if marriage is right for us. That is not how we do things here, Mr. Sharma said. Here, families decide. We look at compatibility, education, values, caste, religion. I respect that, Amélie said carefully. But Rohan and I are both adults. Should we not have a say in our own futures? The room fell silent. Rohan's mother said something in Hindi, her tone sharp. Rohan responded quietly. His father interrupted, also in Hindi. The conversation escalated, voices rising. Amélie sat there, understanding nothing but feeling everything. The tension, the disapproval, the clash of worlds. Finally, Rohan stood up. We are leaving, he said in English. Come, Amélie. As they left, Amélie heard Rohan's mother calling after him in Hindi. Rohan did not respond, his jaw tight, his hand finding Amélie's as soon as they were out of sight of the apartment. I am sorry, he said once they were on the street. I knew it would be bad, but not that bad. What were they saying? He sighed. My mother said you are not suitable. My father said I am disrespecting the family. They said if I continue seeing you, they will cut me off financially and socially. Will they really do that? He looked at her, his eyes sad. Yes, they really will. That night, lying alone in her guest house, Amélie cried. Not because she was giving up, but because she was realizing just how hard this was going to be. Rohan came to see her the next morning. He looked like he had not slept. They sat in a small cafe drinking chai, not quite looking at each other. I talked to my family last night, he said. For hours. They are willing to consider this, but only under certain conditions. What conditions? You would need to convert to Hinduism. You would need to have a traditional Hindu wedding. You would need to live with my family, at least initially. You would need to learn Hindi, learn to cook Indian food, learn our customs. You would need to dress modestly, behave appropriately, accept your role as a daughter-in-law. Amélie felt her stomach drop. That is not compromise, Rohan. That is asking me to become someone else, I know. He looked miserable. But it is the only way they will accept you. And without their acceptance, we cannot be together. Not really. I cannot be cut off from my family. In Indian culture, family is everything, more important than love. He did not answer, which was answer enough. Amélie spent the next week thinking. She talked to Rohan's colleagues at the NGO, some of whom were in intercultural marriages. They were honest with her. It is hard, one woman said. You will always be an outsider. You will always be judged. But if you love him enough, it can work. Another woman was more blunt. Do not do it. I converted. I changed everything about myself, and I am still not accepted. My mother-in-law still treats me like a servant. My husband still prioritizes his family over me. I lost myself, and I am not sure I will ever get her back. Amélie also called her own mother, for the first time being honest about Rohan. Maman, I met someone. He is Indian. His family wants me to convert, to change my whole life. I do not know what to do. Her mother was quiet for a long moment. Do you love him? Yes. Does he love you? Yes. Then you need to ask yourself a question. Will he fight for you, or will he expect you to do all the fighting? That question haunted Amélie. She watched Rohan over the next few days, watched how he interacted with his family, how he navigated their expectations. She saw a man who was torn, yes, but also a man who was not willing to truly stand up to his family. He would negotiate, compromise, plead, but he would not defy them. On her last night in Mumbai, Amélie made her decision. They were sitting on Juhu Beach watching the sunset. The beach was crowded with families, vendors selling belpuri and pav bhaji, children playing in the waves. "I will try," Amélie said. "I will convert, I will learn, I will try to fit into your world. But I need you to promise me something. Anything. If it becomes too much, if I am losing myself, you need to be willing to walk away from your family, not forever, but enough to give us space to build our own life. Can you promise me that?" Rohan was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "I promise." But Amélie could hear the doubt in his voice. Amélie returned to Paris and gave her notice at the hospital. Her mother was devastated. Her father was concerned but supportive. Her friends thought she was insane. "You are giving up your career, your home, your entire life for a man you have known for less than a year?" Her best friend Marie said, "Amélie, this is not you." "Maybe it is," Amélie said. "Maybe I need to do something drastic, something meaningful. Or maybe you are running away from your real life by romanticizing someone else's." Amélie did not want to hear it. She was in love. She was committed. She was going to make this work. She spent 3 months preparing. She learned basic Hindi through apps and online tutors. She studied Hinduism, reading texts, watching videos, trying to understand a religion that was so different from the Catholicism she had grown up with. She practiced cooking Indian food, burning herself on hot oil, oversalting everything, slowly getting better. She also sold most of her possessions. Her furniture, her books, her clothes. She kept only what she would need. Modest clothing, basic necessities, her nursing credentials. In January, 6 months after her first trip, Amélie moved to Mumbai. Rohan had found them a small apartment in Andheri, close to his family but separate. It was a compromise his parents had reluctantly accepted. They would not live together before marriage, but she could live nearby while they prepared for the wedding. The wedding was planned for March. 2 months to convert, to learn, to prove herself worthy. Those 2 months were the hardest of Amélie's life. Rohan's mother, Lakshmi, took it upon herself to train Amélie. Every day Amélie would go to the family home and learn how to drape a sari, how to cook dal and roti, how to perform puja, how to greet elders properly, how to sit, how to speak, how to behave. Lakshmi was not cruel, but she was exacting. "This is not right," she would say when Amélie made a mistake. "In our culture, we do it this way." Amélie bit her tongue and tried again, and again, and again. She also attended sessions with a Hindu priest who was overseeing her conversion. She had to memorize prayers in Sanskrit. She had to learn the stories of the gods. She had to participate in rituals that felt foreign and strange. At night, she would return to her empty apartment exhausted and disoriented. Rohan would come sometimes, bringing food, offering comfort, but he was also stressed. His parents were pressuring him about work, about money, about the wedding expenses that his family was expected to shoulder. "We cannot afford the kind of wedding my parents want," he confessed one night. "But they insist. It is about honor, about showing the community that we are respectable." "How much does it cost?" He named a figure that made Amélie gasp. That was more than she made in 6 months as a nurse in France. "Can I help? I have some savings." Rohan looked ashamed. "My father would never accept money from you. It would be an insult. So what do? We borrow. From relatives, from friends. And we pay it back slowly." Amélie saw then how trapped they both were. Trapped by tradition, by expectation, by pride. The conversion ceremony happened on a Friday afternoon. Amélie wore a white sari, her hair loose, no makeup. The priest performed the rituals, speaking in Sanskrit, marking her forehead with red powder, giving her a new Hindu name. Priya. "From now on, you are Priya Sharma," the priest said. "You have left behind your old life and embraced Dharma." Amélie, now Priya, felt like she was watching someone else's life. This was not her, but it was who she needed to be. Rohan's family was present, along with some neighbors and relatives. They all congratulated her. welcoming her into the fold. But Amélie could see the reservations in their eyes. She would always be the French girl who converted. She would never truly be one of them. The wedding was a 3-day affair. Hundreds of people, most of whom Amélie did not know. Elaborate ceremonies that she did not understand. She smiled through it all, wore the heavy bridal sari, endured the stares and whispers. "You are so brave," distant relatives would say. "Coming all this way, changing your religion, marrying into our family." Amélie did not feel brave. She felt lost. On the wedding night, after all the guests had left, Amélie and Rohan finally had a moment alone in their new apartment. They had moved into a slightly larger place, still in Andheri, still close to his family. "We did it," Rohan said, pulling her close. "We are married." "Yes," Amélie said. But as he kissed her, she felt a strange emptiness. She had achieved what she came for. So why did it feel like she had lost something essential? The first 6 months of marriage were a crash course in disillusionment. Rohan's family expected them for dinner every Sunday, sometimes more. Amélie, now going by Priya publicly, was expected to help Lakshmi cook, to serve the men first, to eat last, to clean up while the men watched television. In France, Amélie had been independent, equal, respected. Here she was a daughter-in-law, which came with specific duties and expectations. She tried to talk to Rohan about it. "Your mother treats me like a maid. She is teaching you," Rohan would say. "This is how it works in joint family systems. Daughters-in-law help their mothers-in-law, but we do not even live with them. It does not matter. You are still part of the family." Amélie also struggled with work. She had hoped to find nursing work in Mumbai, maybe even volunteer with Rohan's NGO. But her French credentials were not recognized in India. She would need to retrain, take exams, navigate a bureaucratic system that was overwhelming. Rohan suggested she wait, focus on settling in first, learn the language better, then think about work. But Amélie needed purpose. Without work, without identity, she felt like she was disappearing. She tried to make friends. She joined a yoga class, attended a book club for expats, volunteered at a local school teaching English. But the expats did not understand her situation. Why would you convert? Why would you give up your career? They made her feel foolish, and Indian women kept her at arm's length. She was foreign, an outsider, someone who had taken one of their men. She felt trapped between two worlds, belonging to neither. 6 months in, Amélie discovered she was pregnant. The news was met with joy by Rohan's family. "Finally," Lakshmi said, as if Amélie's worth had only now been established. Rohan was happy too, though Amélie could see the stress. Another mouth to feed, more responsibility, more pressure. Amélie herself felt terrified. She was not ready. She was still adjusting, still struggling, still trying to figure out who she was in this new life. How could she bring a child into this? But she had no choice. Abortion was stigmatized, and besides, Rohan's family was already making plans. The pregnancy was difficult. Amélie was sick constantly, and Lakshmi had opinions about everything. What she should eat, how she should dress, what prayers she should recite. "You are carrying a Sharma," Lakshmi would say. "You need to be careful." Amélie started to resent the baby before it was even born. 7 months into her pregnancy, Amélie's father had a heart attack. Her mother called, frantic. "He is in the hospital. Please come home." Amélie wanted to go immediately, but Rohan hesitated. "You cannot fly this late in pregnancy, and we cannot afford the tickets right now." "Rohan, my father is in the hospital. I know. I am sorry. But what can you do? You cannot help him from there. And your mother has family nearby, yes?" "Yes, but he is my father. And this is my baby. Our baby. You need to think about what is best for the child." Amélie felt something break inside her. She called her mother every day, but she did not go home. Her father recovered, thankfully, but the damage was done. Amélie had chosen Rohan's family over her own. The baby, a boy, was born in December. They named him Arav, a name Rohan's parents chose. Amélie had wanted to include a French name, maybe Louis or Gabriel as a middle name, But Lakshmi said Hindu names did not have middle names. Motherhood was overwhelming. Amélie was exhausted, isolated, struggling. Lakshmi came every day to help, which meant to supervise and criticize. You are holding him wrong. You are feeding him wrong. You need to do this ritual, that prayer. Rohan was working long hours, often staying late at the office. When he came home, he was tired and distant. He would hold Arav for a few minutes, then hand him back to Amélie and retreat to his phone. One night, 3 months after Arav's birth, Amélie snapped. I cannot do this anymore. Rohan looked up from his phone. Cannot do what? This. Any of this. Your family, this life, this prison. Priya, you are just tired. All new mothers feel this way. Do not call me Priya. My name is Amélie. Not anymore. You chose this. You converted, you married me, you had my child, I chose you. I did not choose to lose myself. They fought for hours. Amélie said things she had been holding in for months, that she felt suffocated, that his family treated her like property, that he had promised to stand up for her and had done nothing, that she regretted everything. Rohan said things too, that she was ungrateful, that she did not understand the sacrifices his family had made, that she expected him to choose between her and them, which was impossible, that maybe she should go back to France if she was so unhappy. The words hung in the air like poison. Maybe I should, Amélie said quietly. Rohan's face went pale. You would leave your son? I would take him with me. Over my dead body. He is a Sharma. He stays here. And that was when Amélie understood. She was trapped. She had given up everything. Her country, her career, her identity, her religion. And now, she did not even have the freedom to leave. The next few months were a cold war. Amélie and Rohan barely spoke. They slept in the same bed but might as well have been on different continents. Amélie threw herself into caring for Arav, finding in him the only source of joy in her life. But even that was complicated. Lakshmi had strong opinions about child rearing. Arav should sleep with them, not in a crib. He should be fed on demand, not on a schedule. He should be exposed to Hindi songs, not French lullabies. Every decision was a battle. Every choice was scrutinized. Amélie started having panic attacks. She would wake up in the middle of the night, her heart racing, feeling like she could not breathe. She would go to the bathroom and cry silently, not wanting to wake Rohan or Arav. She called her mother one day, desperate. Mama, I made a mistake. I do not know how to fix it. Her mother was quiet for a long moment. Come home, Cherie. Bring Arav. Come home. But Amélie knew she could not. Rohan would never allow it. And Indian law favored fathers in custody disputes, especially if the mother was foreign. She looked into it anyway. Talked to a lawyer discreetly. The lawyer was frank. If you try to leave the country with the child without your husband's permission, you could be arrested. If you divorce, the child will likely stay with the father, especially given that you are living in his culture. His family is here to support him. So I am trapped? The lawyer looked at her with sympathy. Many foreign women in your situation are. Amélie thought about leaving anyway. Just packing a bag, taking Arav, going to the airport. But where would she go? Her apartment in Paris was long gone. She had no job, no money of her own. Everything was in Rohan's name. And she loved Arav too much to risk losing him in a legal battle. So she stayed. And every day she felt a little more of herself die. One afternoon, she ran into one of Rohan's NGO colleagues, a woman named Priya. Actual Priya, not the name Amélie had been given. How are you? Priya asked kindly. Amélie broke down right there in the market. She told Priya everything. The loneliness, the control, the loss of self, the fear. Priya listened without judgment. Then she said something that changed everything. You are not the first foreign woman I have seen go through this, and you will not be the last. Indian families can be wonderful, but they can also be suffocating, especially to women who were not raised in this culture. You need to decide what you can live with and what you cannot. And if you cannot live with this, you need to find a way out, even if it is hard. But Arav, there are ways, legal ways. It will take time, it will be difficult, but you do not have to stay in a situation that is destroying you. That conversation planted a seed. Amélie started planning. Not impulsively, but carefully. She began working online, teaching French through video calls, saving money in an account Rohan did not know about. She documented everything: the control, the restrictions, the way Lakshmi treated her. She consulted lawyers, learning her rights. She also started standing up for herself. Small things at first, saying no when Lakshmi demanded she come for dinner, insisting on French books for Arav, speaking French to him even when Lakshmi complained. Rohan noticed. What has gotten into you? I am remembering who I am. Priya, you need to stop this. You are causing problems in the family. My name is Amélie, and maybe it is time I caused some problems. The final breaking point came one Sunday afternoon. They were at Rohan's family home for lunch. Arav, now almost 2 years old, was playing with his cousins. Lakshmi made a comment about Amélie's parenting, something about how she was too lenient, too Western. Amélie snapped. With all respect, Lakshmi, Arav is my son. I will raise him how I see fit. The room went silent. Lakshmi's face darkened. How dare you speak to me that way in my own home? How dare you criticize me constantly in every aspect of my life? Rohan stood up. Priya, apologize to my mother. No. Excuse me? No. I will not apologize for standing up for myself. I will not apologize for existing. I have given up everything for this family. My country, my career, my religion, my name. And it is never enough. I am never enough. So no. No more apologies. She picked up Arav and walked out. Rohan followed her, furious. You just humiliated me in front of my entire family. You have been humiliating me for 2 years. How? By letting them treat me like I do not matter. By never standing up for me. By expecting me to sacrifice everything while you sacrifice nothing. I gave up the possibility of an arranged marriage with a nice Indian girl for you. Amélie laughed, a bitter sound. Is that supposed to make me grateful? You gave up an arrangement. I gave up my entire life. Then maybe you should not have come. Maybe I should not have. That night, Amélie made her decision. She called her mother. I am coming home. I am going to file for divorce and fight for custody. I need your help. Her mother did not hesitate. Come home, ma chérie. We will figure it out together. The legal battle took 8 months. Amélie moved back to France with Arav on a temporary permission that Rohan reluctantly granted after she threatened to go public with her story to the media and his employer. Rohan's family was outraged. They threatened, they pleaded, they tried to guilt her into returning. But Amélie was done. The custody arrangement was heartbreaking. Shared custody meant Arav would spend part of the year in France, part in India. He would grow up split between 2 worlds, 2 cultures, 2 languages. It was not what Amélie wanted, but it was the best she could get. Rohan flew to France once for the final divorce proceedings. They met in a cafe near the courthouse, the first time they had seen each other face to face in 6 months. I never meant for it to be like this, he said. Neither did I. I did love you, you know. I know. But love was not enough. He looked older, sadder. Would you do it again? If you could go back, knowing how it would end? Amélie thought about it. About the pain, yes, but also about Arav. About the things she had learned about herself, about the world, about the limits of compromise. I do not know, she said honestly, but I do know that I cannot regret Arav, and I cannot regret learning who I really am, even if it took losing everything to find out. They parted as strangers, 2 people who had briefly tried to build a bridge between worlds and discovered the gap was too wide. Now, 3 years later, Amélie has rebuilt her life. She works at a hospital in Lyon. She has a small apartment near her parents. Arav spends 6 months with her and 6 months with Rohan. It is not perfect, but it is honest. She has learned that some loves are not meant to work, that cultural differences are not just about food and language, but about fundamental values, about what it means to be an individual versus part of a collective, about the role of women, The weight of tradition, the price of fitting in. Amélie learned that some loves require you to lose yourself completely. She chose to save herself instead, even though it cost her everything she had built. If you have faced impossible choices between love and identity, share your story in the comments. Hit that like button if this resonated with you, and subscribe for more real stories about intercultural relationships. What culture should we explore next?